welcome to the Keystone Experience. Rob Warwick
and Matt Pitzer.
Brought to you by Creek Archery. Find your passion and hunt it down.
And Hillview Motors, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Remember, Hillview has it in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, we got Travis T-Bone Turner back on here. What's going on, brother? How you been?
Good, man. Good. Just, the obvious, I think the whole country's sweating to death, but yeah, we're good, man. We're counting down the days. I think we're 61 days out for deer season down here in Georgia. So yeah, we're good to go.
I forget what it was on. Maybe it was on YouTube. I seen you shooting this crazy looking bow with a big shock absorber. What is the deal with that thing?
Yeah, that actually is a bow from, if you followed along for years, back when I first started doing stuff with Realtree in the late 90s and early 2000s, I played a character, which is where I got my name T-Bone from, with Jeff Foxworthy. Well, the original bow that I had playing that character was an old whitetail hunter. Well, through progression a couple of years, we was just trying to come up with some different props and storylines and stuff. So I actually built that bow along with Hoyt. We put a bunch of old parts together, and we call that Sadie 2.0. So the risers from a 1990 or a 91, it's a a Pro Force Extreme riser and limbs. And then we took the cam and a half technology, because that was just introduced to the industry like around the early 2000s, and we kind of built us a Frankenstein bow. And Hoyt's always been synonymous with that bridge bracing in the back. Their riser's been a tech riser, so to speak. So I misspelled tech, put TEK instead of TEC. And instead of having a bridge, I took a gas cylinder off of a Tahoe hatchback, threw a spring on there. So that's a T-Bone's redneck version of a tech riser. So, we just kind of built our own little Frankenstein / Morphodite, and we thought it was good with the Realtree guys. We was gonna just compare old technology to new technology, and we just had some fun with it the other day. Yeah, that just got posted on YouTube actually just a couple of days ago. Yeah,
it was like the first thing that popped up when I went and checked our stuff today, and I was like, I got to watch this because we're talking to him tonight. I got to see what he's doing.
Yeah,
thing looked like it shot pretty good.
It does, yeah. It's I told them though, if it's over 40 yards, it's so slow that it would be a par two. I'd have to take 2 shots if it's farther than 40 yards.
Isn't it crazy how we have gotten so used to having that speed? You forget that there were those days where you took a 40-yard shot and you could watch the arrow arc to hit the target.
You're exactly right. The whole time, when I had to dig that bow, it was hanging in one of my barns. Actually, I had to get the cobwebs off of it and, kind of retune it, so to speak. And I just put simple stuff on it. But when I was getting it put together, checking the timing and everything, it was still in time and all. But, each year we go through this whenever you see the new equipment, no matter what brand of bow it is or anything. It's like, you know what? We really haven't come that far along in advancements on compound bows. But then when you pick up that bow that's 30 years old and you're comparing that to what we got now, we have come leap years. I mean, we've really, really advanced between how quiet the bows are, how shock free they are, and especially the speed and the efficiency like you talked about. So yeah, we have come along an extremely long ways with technology and stuff. So you don't think it's that much because you're thinking like, well, we had wheels and cams and limbs and stuff back 30 years ago. But golly, I mean, some of them bows, them old ones, you have to kind of keep your teeth gritted together or have a mouthpiece in there and vibrate your teeth out of your head.
So how's the food plot going? You doing any food plots this year?
Well, not right now. I'm not. We've been lucky enough to, like here on our place, we instead of having to break the ground 2 and 3 different times, and burning more diesel fuel and taking more time and having to cross your fingers and do rain dances and stuff, what we've come up with is we do supplemental feeding all year long, and then when we do plant, which we plant Usually we'll break the ground like the very end of August, and then we plant usually the last week of September, first week of October. But we've got it down to where we plant a mix to where we get a full 11 and a half months of good growth. And we maintain it all year long so that we have a lot of tonnage and we never have bare dirt. We only have to break the ground one time. So that system that we've kind of put in place has always been something that the animals really like. They really seem to browse it real heavy. It handles browse. It's real drought tolerant. We plant buck forage oats for our keel plot, our annual that grows all through the fall. Deer seem to love it. Of course, then we got our perennials that are underneath there that are propping up, which is clovers. You're talking clovers, chicory, as well as alfalfa. It's coming along, and it's, semi-dormant throughout the winter, and then it really starts popping in February whenever the oats are dying out. So we spray it, we keep it fertilized, and we're getting a full 12-month out of just having to turn the dirt one time. So it's worked real well for us.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk to him after we get off the podcast about this.
Yeah, that seems really efficient because you're talking planting, end of September or 1st of October. I'm like, man, that's deer season.
Well,
yeah, I know y'all are probably need to do it a month and a half. Y'all probably need to be planting mid August is what I would say for you guys. But for us, if we plant any earlier, some guys plant around the 1st of September. We have a bad time with armyworms. They tend to wipe out our crops, and you still have to worry about quite a bit of drought. So rather than trying to push it and get stuff in the ground before season, I've just learned to wait and just, we got supplemental feeding, and they're really going to need it throughout the end of October, November, December, and January. So we just wait. We just be patient, bust the ground, obtain all the moisture that we can. Another reason we do that and we don't plant like spring plots, if you have enough area where you can plant like soybeans or, summer type plots, really huge areas, by all means, I encourage people to do that. But down here in the South, especially in the region that we live, pine tree is the number one cash crop, so to speak. So we don't have very many large open agriculture fields anymore. Over the last 25 years, they've basically filled them up with pine trees. So we have just small little 1, 2, and 3 and 4 acre plots is about as big as we got. And if we do plant soybeans in those, the deer end up mowing them down within 2 weeks in the summertime. So it's not really worth it. Soybeans are so awesome if you can plant plenty of them, but if they mow them down, boy, it's a lot of work and wear and tear on your tractors and stuff for not much gain. So supplemental feeding seems to work good with us with a high protein, so where you don't have to worry about drought. You don't have to worry about rain. You just keep filling those feeders up, and, the deer grow up used to being around the feeder. A lot of large mature bucks are afraid to go to a feeder when they see it. But if you keep the program going year after year after year, as soon as they're button bucks and they come out, they're used to seeing those feeders, and they're not afraid of them at all. They've grown up for 5 and 6 years using them. So it's not really a problem at all. It seems to be a pretty good game plan, so to speak.
Well, we know something a little about tractor problems here recently.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, it was a really simple fix too. We were over at the lease property, cutting the fields down and trying to start getting ready to get our trails cut and food plots and all that going. And I turned my tractor off and it wouldn't turn back on. So we spent the next 2 hours pulling it, winching it, and dragging it around to get it back up on the trailer for it just to be the PTO safety switch.
Yep. I was getting ready to say that, and I said, no, I'm going to let him finish his story. Yep. Well, hey, and that's a pleasant surprise because it could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we were figuring it was a starter. I'm like, it ran fine all day. I'd already been cutting for 6 hours. Like, I'm going to stop and get water out of the truck. Got back on, wouldn't start. I called him. Like, am I doing something wrong here? Like, I know I know how to run this, but just bear with me. I ran through the steps. He's like, nope, that sounds right. I'm like, well, it won't start. So then we went and got the side-by-side and chained and unhooked the cutter and dragged it. And then we had to winch it up with the side-by-side by a chain onto the trailer to get it back to my shop to find out that the PTO safety switch was pushed down, and I just had to pop it up, and it fired right back up.
Yeah, we went through that about 3 weeks ago, actually. We were at one of our properties down the road. My buddy was using the tractor on it, and he turned it off, and it was kind of overheating. It started to overheat a little bit. So he thought, well, the radiator stopped up a little bit. We'll get the debris out of the radiator. So he turned it off and, was getting ready to check it once it cooled down a little bit. And then he went to crank it again, and it wouldn't crank like that. But I told him, I said, you need to check the PTO. He had already come back to the house because it was getting dark. And I said, we need to check that PTO. So when he got over there, he said, I'm pretty sure that I turned it off. And I'm like, well, that might be it. And he went and he looked at it, and it was off. But then he turned it without trying the key. He turned it on and then turned it back off. And we later found out that the cable had slipped. So it had like about every other time it would engage or disengage, but at that one time that it didn't disengage and it wouldn't crank. And then you had to jiggle it a little bit, and then come to find out the more we used it, it lengthened a little bit more. So we had to take some time and get up underneath there and change the length of the cable so that it would work correctly. So yeah, if you have a tractor, you're gonna have troubles.
Well, I solved that problem, and there is no longer a safety switch in there. We have wired around it, and you just need to not put your hand back there.
There you go.
So what else is going on down there? What are you getting ready to hunt?
Just deer. Just we've been, seems like all the guys are coming out of the woodwork. So local buddies and stuff like that. We shoot every Thursday night, and just been working on people's bows. Getting them set up. I've, got a lot of phone calls and bows ordered. We got quite a few, I guess, celebrities and folks within the industry that we got bows ordered. And it's funny how it seems like everything turns on like a switch right after 4th of July. You feel like you got the boss lady's vacations out of the way, and it's time to get ready for hunting season. So yeah, just been working on a lot of bows and playing with some new toys and some of the new stuff that came out this year, fletching jigs, and we got some new fletchings that we're trying. Not no company. I mean, I just love anything to do with archery. So, I bought a couple of different types of broadheads that I just want to play with, just because I, just want to see how they work and stuff like that. But yeah, just a lot more of the same, getting folks to ready for season. Thursday nights are always fun. If y'all follow along, we have a Thursday night knockbusters, and when we thought we'd shoot a couple times before the season come, and y'all probably have the same thing. I know if anybody's in a lease or celebrating hunting, it's more than just you going to the woods. It's you want to chat with your buddies and get together and have a meal. And we started this Thursday night knockbusters things, and I got about 15 to 20 targets around the house here, and guys come over and we take turns, buying dinner for everybody. So, everybody gets a turn at supplying or, either cooking up something or bringing something over, and we shoot till dark, and then we come inside and, usually put the ball game on or, a debate or something on the TV, and, we sit around and shoot the bull and talk about, things that we might have seen, a new product that we may have seen, or work on bows and just, ham it up and fellowship. It's been a good way for all of us, because everybody that comes over, we got some real estate guys, we got some cops and firemen, and, everybody's from a different type of trade. And, you can just tell you've just been beat down all week long from, working in whatever you've been working as an insurance salesman or a doctor or whatever. And you just need to let your hair down, more so than just sitting there watching the TV. So it's been real good. It's been real good for all of us to fellowship like that. So it's about like going to the bar, but with no bar and just doing stuff with the outdoors.
Yeah, we kind of do the same thing. We go over to our buddies. We call him Chef Alex, and he'll fire up the barbecue. We put out 10 or 15 3D targets, and we just tear it up all day long on a Sunday afternoon and have fun. We did the same thing this year. I found this broadhead company on Facebook from Michigan, and I bought every one of their broadheads that they make, and me and him's been shooting them. And I'll tell you what, I used to be a mechanical broadhead guy, but I'm shooting these 2-blade broadheads that this guy has. Man, these things fly like darts. Like, I have never seen a fixed blade fly exactly like my field points. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about broadheads is, like, everybody tries to, especially for me, they try to back me in a corner, and and I have my preferences on broadheads and stuff, but at the end of the day, it boils down to accuracy. Whatever you're most accurate with and has the most confident, and just about nearly all of the broadheads will do the job if you put it in the right place. So, it's not like there's only one broadhead. You can only choose one broadhead. There's a bunch of them out there. It's just whichever one is going to check off the most boxes, and you can be the most accurate, be the most confident, and to get the job done. And like I tell everybody, accuracy always wins. So whatever you can get to shoot the most accurate, it seems going to be to help you. And there's other features that mean a lot to you, but by choosing those features, that's what builds confidence.
I did the same thing with arrows this year. I started playing with a little no-name company out of Ohio,
Yeah.
And I went from shooting a brand name arrow in a micro diameter to shooting this guy's arrow. And I'll tell you what, it's just as good as that brand name arrow and as durable. We were shooting it the other day. We were shooting at a cow shoulder blade with those broadheads.
Yeah.
And I mean, this thing, I know when we release a video, we're going to have somebody say, well, there's no meat, there's no hide on there, blah, 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 blah. It was going through a 16-inch foam target and sticking out 4 inches in the back on the other side.
Yeah.
So to me, that's plenty. It's going to do the same thing on that hide. It's going to blow right through that deer is what it's going to do, And,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to say it. I'm not big on getting into a debate over it with people because I feel the same way. Whatever you shoot best, shoot it.
Yeah, and that's by you out there playing with that, you're building confidence with the product that you're using. So yeah, that's half the battle there is just seeing that it works and building confidence with it rather than just buying it off the shelf and hoping, oh man, I hope this works. You know.
Yeah, be that Friday night guy the day before the season opens. He stops in the archery shop Friday night. Hey, I need broadheads, I need arrows, and I need a new bow too while you're at it.
Yep, I can't tell you how many times with me owning a store, I can't tell you how many times, we would always, all the guys that worked at the shop with me, we would basically just kind of take it easy. And, we would sell stuff on Friday evenings, but it's like, man, who's going to show up today? I mean, what kind of crazy guy are we going to get coming in here today? And Sure enough, there'd always be 5 or 6 of them. It's like, I got to have this ready. And he goes, is there any way you can pull your truck around here so we can sight this thing in? I got to go hunting in the morning. I'm like, but I mean, that's what you're in business for, is to help them.
Yeah. Like tonight, I think I told him, the shop opens at 5:00, the one that we help out at.
Yeah.
And I think I was there for an hour and a half. I probably cut 4 dozen arrows in an hour and a half. But
oh, wow.
I've noticed that people are starting to do this now in June and July instead of coming in August and September and saying, hey, I need a dozen arrows. You know what I mean? They're starting to, and we're starting to get a lot more people getting bow strings now instead of waiting until 2 weeks before the season.
Yeah, that's good.
It seems like people are finally starting to, I mean, you got your diehard guys that are like us. I mean, we're working on our bows all year round. And I think our new bows, I probably got 1,000 arrows through my new bow, and I've only had it for, 3 weeks, if that.
Yeah, I'd be ready if season started at Easter. I'd be ready.
Yeah, yep.
If deer season opened at Easter, I'd be ready. What brand of bows y'all shooting?
What type?
What brand of bow are y'all shooting?
We're shooting gearhead.
Okay.
Gearhead. Yeah,
I've never got to shoot one of those, actually. I've seen them and looked at them, but I've never got to shoot one.
We're shooting the Pivot 30. It's a 30-inch axle to axle. Down the archery shop,
is it a shoot through riser? Shoot through the center of the riser?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And what's nice too is like all the adjustments on the handle, the grip, the whole bow. Like one bow. All you got to do is flip everything around to make it left-handed. I mean, it's it's pretty crazy because I flipped one around the other day down the archery shop for a guy, and the guy's like, "Wow, that's all you got to do?" I was like, "Yeah, that's it, man."
Yeah,
you're ready to roll.
Years ago, there was a bow company called York. I don't know if y'all remember this, York STO, and it was the same way. It was one bow, and their claim to fame, I don't know if you remember, there was a grip company for pistols called Packmeyer.
Okay.
So people used to put Packmeyer grips on their guns, like if you bought a Ruger or Smith and Wesson, and if you wanted to fancy it up, you'd get you a set of Packmeyer grips and put on there. Now, granted, this is easily like 30 years ago, and that was or more 35 years ago, and that was the thing. You take the Packmeyer grips. It had Packmeyer grips on the bow, and it was called a York STO. You shot through the handle, and then you could one bow you could set up right or left-handed.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how I mean it looks like an erector set, but dude, it is. I mean,
yeah,
I can't believe how the things shoot. They are friggin' phenomenal the way they shoot.
That's innovative design for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's a true redneck's bow. If it's that short axle to axle, if you can slide it out of a Chevy Silverado window.
We didn't go that short, but they do make them that short, and
yeah, they do.
We got hooked up with them. They came down to the shop we help at for an event that we did, and we've known Skip Peterson, the owner. I met him a couple years ago when I was out in Montana filming for Respect the Game TV.
Yeah,
and we've always kind of kept in touch with him, and finally got him in here to shoot the bows, and they shot great, and we were excited to use them, and
that's good.
Get them pushed out here more. We're like you. I don't care what bow you shoot, as long as you're archery hunting. That's all that matters.
Oh yeah.
But we always try to push people to try everything. You have those people that come in that are dead set on, I've got to have a Hoyt, I've got to have a Matthews, I've got to have this. Okay, but if somebody comes in and isn't sure, shoot them all. See what fits you, because
Absolutely.
Like you said, the confidence you'll get from that bow feeling right for you, it doesn't matter what the brand name says on it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, they're different applications call for different things, and somebody's a longer draw length, shorter draw length, more weight, more or less weight, going to be hunting ground blinds, going to be in tree stands, going to be out west. So yeah, they make a world variety of them. I'd like to know how many different bows and models there are out there, combinations, because back in the 80s there was only probably 15 different choices, whereas today I guarantee it's well over 200.
Oh yeah,
at least.
Yeah, I would think.
Oh, easily. I mean, you look. I mean, every bow company has at least 7, 8 plus models.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's if you don't count their target line. If you count their target line,
yeah,
it's even higher than that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Probably closer to 300 more than 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of options out there for everybody. That's for sure. And it goes back to, like you said, sometimes we don't feel like we've come so far with technology, but
yeah, we have.
You look back, you said you had 15 models, and that 15 models, you needed to be the Hulk to draw it back and hold it because it had no let off at all.
That's right.
Now we've got states where you can't hunt with 90% let off because we have the ability to have 90% let off. You can hold 5 pounds if you want.
So where are you guys located at again in Pennsylvania?
Greensburg. Not far from Pittsburgh, probably an hour from Pittsburgh, 45 minutes.
In which direction?
Southeast.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
We're down in the bottom corner where 45 minutes to an hour we can be in Ohio, West Virginia, or Maryland.
Okay, so you're near that big Cabela's down there.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep, not far from there.
Yeah. Yeah, Western Pennsylvania was in the news this weekend, wasn't it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, we were just, when was that? When was TAC? We talked to
Saturday.
Nick. No, the archery, Total Archery Challenge.
Oh, it's been a little bit. It's been a month or so ago.
Yeah, we were talking to Nick up there.
Yeah.
And ask him how you were doing, and that's what made me think to send you an email. to get things back on, and still haven't been able to talk to Michael. He's busy.
I talked to him this morning. Yeah, I haven't talked to him much since the start of turkey season. I bet I haven't talked to him 3 times since 1st of March.
Man, how'd you do during turkey season? Did you get anything?
Huh?
Did you turkey hunt?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I didn't travel anywhere, but I hunted here. I got to where I like them pretty well around here, you know. So if I didn't get the exact right footage, I mean, I like seeing them around here because it's been a hard row to hoe on my farms. I haven't seen that many, but this year I had quite a few, and I was just waiting for the times I went. I was waiting for the right footage, and then, you know, we didn't really need the footage for the show. So I was like, man, if I don't have to kill one, I don't know that I'm gonna kill one, just because I like the herd to rebound a little. The flock to to rebound a little bit. We have such a bad problem with raccoons and armadillos. They tear the nests up so bad. So I was just glad to see quite a few gobblers. So we didn't mess with them too bad this year.
We had to get somebody down there to trap for you.
Yeah, well, we did. I mean, don't get me wrong. We I think we took care of the coons. I think we 34 of them, I think.
There you go.
Put those coon traps out, so I think we removed about 34 of them. So, yeah, we thinned them out good. But the armadillos, you just about can't trap them. You just got to go out at night with the thermal and just pop them.
That would be fun.
That is fun, yeah.
That would be a blast. We don't have nothing like that. We get to go out at night up here and shoot coyotes.
Yeah, we try to do that. It's so thick down here, we don't get to see too many of them, but they're not that in my area right here. They're not terrible. I mean, we do got some coyotes, but it's not like we're overrun with them by no means.
Yeah, a couple of our turkey hunts this spring turned into coyote hunts instead of turkey hunts. You know,
gotcha.
Fire whistles would start going off, and Mom and a bunch of pups would start howling, and then that was it. It was like Rob ripped turkey calls apart and turned them into rabbit squealers and just get after it.
That's right.
How about fishing? You been out doing any of the fishing with the Slim Jims?
Oh yeah, that's the perfect bait. You never go home hungry, man. If you're not catching anything, you get to keep the Slim Jim. So no, I absolutely, yeah. We've been doing some fishing. Caught a mess of brim. I don't know. I guess it was about 2 weeks ago. So we fried them jokers up, but. Yeah, it's a little hot to do it now. We wait till about right now, just before dark, we'll go out there and catch a few. But yeah, I got a house next door that I bought right down the road that we're trying to get renovated. So we're spending a lot of time with that and any free time we got, and working on bows and stuff too. So
yeah, it's gonna be here before you know it.
Yeah, it will.
And that stuff that happened.
Have y'all ever had Levi Morgan on?
No.
You should get Levi. He lives right in that area.
Yeah, he does. I haven't tried to reach out to him. I probably should.
Yeah, do y'all have you want me to reach out to you for contact information?
Yeah, whenever we get done we'll talk. Yeah, we can try to get him on.
Yep.
The stuff that happened up here the other day though, that was, like you said, it was crazy up there in Butler. That was insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yep.
You know, I did not know anything about that until like 6 hours later.
Really?
You know, I just got home today. I took my 2 boys up to Hershey Park for a small vacation. So I was riding roller coasters and eating pretzels and ice cream and didn't know nothing about anything until we got back to the camper like 10 o'clock at night. And I finally got on Facebook and seen what had happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's still details are going to be shaken out for that for a while.
Yeah, and I know Matt tries to keep me from talking politics because I really get fired up. Like, you know, I like watching Michael's stuff whenever Michael gets on a roll and he starts going on about this stuff. You know? And I've seen you do it, and I try not to go down that rabbit hole, but the way things are going on this planet right now, people need to start talking about this, and people need to start changing. You know, I told my wife the other day, now I do not go to church a whole lot, okay? I told my wife the other day, I said, everybody needs to get God back in their life.
Yep.
They need to. And for me to come out and say that, it's pretty bad, because the kids nowadays are disrespectful. The adults are even worse. And our government just needs to get their nose out of my business and leave me alone and let me live my life and make money. I cannot make money with the joker that's running this country now.
Yeah, the country needs to come back and belong to the people. Rather than the dictatorship running it. Of course, we could talk about this for hours. And, but yeah, it just needs to get back to where it was, when we were kids.
Yeah. Sit down. Everybody sit down at the dinner table together as a family.
Yeah.
Eat dinner. Stay off the cell phones. Eat your food. Talk to each other. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't, with the electronics and there's so many distractions, I don't think that that's ever going to happen again. But nonetheless, we don't need to be divided. Just because we don't agree on the same things don't mean that we can't still cohabitate and believe in the right things in God and peace and a country run, off of what brought us here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your political views don't give you the right to go out and try to gun somebody down.
Nope.
And I hate to say this, but that man got what was coming to him. And that's as far as I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that. And we'll move on to something better. Got something for him? I got Matt all depressed over there now.
No, I was just trying to think of all the, I literally still don't really know what happened. I saw a news article and I just kind of moved on with it because I just don't get wrapped up into that stuff. And
I try to, I watch and get the headlines and stuff, but my dad passed away last year, but I would see him just sit there for like 20 hours a day, just watching the news and news and news. And all it does is just drag you down into a negative black hole. And, I refuse to do that. Don't get me wrong. We've been given a platform and you do need to, voice your views and do positive things, so to speak. And, you do need to know what's going on in the country, but you can't let it overtake your life and all your happiness, because at the end of the day, it's your life, it's our life, and you got to live for some happiness. As long as you're doing things legal and right by man, I think that's fine. But yeah, you're right. We don't need to get so wrapped up in it and so build hatred, because we need to spread love. To be honest with you, happiness.
Yep.
I read the first article and then I moved over to the weather, and that depressed me. I'm like, well, let me see how tomorrow is going to be at the amusement park. Oh, great, 95. How much fun is it waiting in line for a roller coaster for 40 minutes in direct sunlight at 95 degrees?
Yeah, it's tough.
Everybody says, oh, you guys own Harleys. You ride them Harleys when it's hot out. You know what? That Harley of mine sits in the garage when it's 90 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Because I know what an egg feels like when I'm on that Harley.
Yeah, exactly. You just got the motor below you. It's like riding a zero turn, cutting grass in 95 degree weather. Same thing.
Yep.
That is the only thing I can say that is good about this heat. Is I haven't had to cut grass in like a month.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me, because I hate, there's nothing more I hate than cutting grass. I feel like
really, I love cutting grass. I love cutting grass.
I just can't. I can find so many other things to do with that time.
Yeah.
I
love cutting grass. I always have liked it. And then, I don't get to weed eat anymore, but I always loved weed eating too.
So what's your combination that you're shooting this year?
Shooting kind of about the same thing I did last year. I switched up to a Gemini arrow combination. I dropped. I was shooting like 517. Now I'm running about 496. So I shaved about 20 grains off. 100 grain broadhead. Probably going to go with the mega meat. I just have deer hunts planned this year. It's shooting like 282 feet per second, 74 pounds. Shooting really, really good. So, it's the speed I want. It's not a super light arrow. It's not a super heavy arrow. It's I like that 460 grain to about 550 grain, somewhere in that neighborhood. And if you can achieve the speed you want, I'm running about right at 18 percent FOC. It's about 17.8. Real forgiving shaft, 250 spine. Everything's clicking right along. I'm really happy with things. So all I did was just kind of polished a few things from last year, and I did go with a different bow. I've always been an advocate for shooting a longer axle to axle bow because they are more forgiving, I guess, because of my tournament background. The apex of the string is right. Everything seems to work right for me. But because of, I'm primarily hunting in ground blinds and blinds now. So I wanted something a little more compact, and I'm whitetail hunting. More than likely, everything will be under 50 yards, and hopefully I'm smart enough to put the corn close enough that it'll be at 20 yards. So I'm going to have a little shorter shot. So I'm shooting the Alpha X, which is the 30-inch axle to axle bow. So I'm shooting a shorter axle to axle. And it seems to be doing real well. I've shot it, out to 100 yards and, just playing around and stuff like that. But it shoots really well. So I'm real pleased with it. With my draw length, I'm always an advocate for a longer axle to axle because it is more forgiving. However, this thing's performing really well. It's going to make for a good shooter, and I won't have to worry about, bumping into the top of the blind or, moving it around inside there. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Was that a big adjustment for you going from a longer axle to axle down to a short one?
No, not really. I mean, the apex of the string is not that much different. And today's bows, when they're parallel limb, sub parallel limb bows, whereas back in the day when the angles of the limbs were at about a 45-degree angle, you had a lot more flex. So, like you would start with a 40-inch axle to axle bow. When it come to full draw, it would be at about 35, 36. So it would really collapse quite a bit. In today's bows, if you notice, they have such large cams to accommodate your draw length because they're shorter axle to axle. So even though the axle to axle measures, say, 30 inches, the limb doesn't move hardly at all. And the cam is so large because you're actually pivoting off the top of the cam instead of the axle where the axle is. So the true axle to axle may be 30 inches, but if you measure from where the string touches the top of the cam, which is what determines the apex of the string of how you're anchoring on your face, it's really not that much different. A 30-inch axle to axle bow is going to shoot as if it was a nearly a 38-inch axle to axle bow 15 years ago. So it's not as critical as it used to be. But yeah, I'm not having a problem with it. You just have to manipulate your anchor a little bit and change your D loop to accommodate it. So it's real easy to dig into your face and present a lot of facial pressure, which when you put facial pressure in the string, like if I'm shooting at you guys, when the string goes away, if you've got a lot of facial pressure and it's all matted up into your beard, if I'm shooting at you guys, as soon as I shoot, that pressure is coming out this way. So it does like this, and the string doesn't track straight.
Okay.
Whereas what you want to do is, instead of anchoring real deep, just lightly touch the corner of your mouth, tip of your nose, so that the string is just leaving and going straight away. So many people anchor really hard against their face, and they think they're doing a good job. It's like, man, I got me a hard anchor. I mean, something that's really firm. But as soon as you cut that arrow loose with the release, that pressure is pushing the string out. So it wants to do this. I'm magnifying it, of course.
Right.
But that's the way. You'll never correct that because it's going down through there like this. Whereas you want to just barely touch as an anchor point and then just let it pull straight away from your face.
Well, do you shoot with a nose button?
No, I don't shoot with a nose button. I shoot with a kisser button. I've always shot with a kisser button for years. I'm not against the nose button. It's just another place to hang your hat. So yeah, I'm all for some type of, I call it a booger button, a booger button or a kisser button.
I use a kisser button, but I put the tip of my nose on my string too.
That's what I do.
And I try when we're working with a new shooter down the shop, I try to tell them, put that kisser button in the corner of your mouth and let that string touch the tip of your nose. And you try to explain to them it's not going to rip your nose off your face, because I think
Yeah.
that's what scares a lot of people, new shooters.
Well, and if you've noticed, anybody that shot a little bit, once they get to shooting, they're like, "Man, he's right. It's not gonna hurt me." Then if they're not coached or taught, then they start anchoring harder and harder and harder, and they get the fat of their face
Yep.
buried up in that string, thinking they're doing better, and it's not hurting them. But actually, it's not physically hurting them, but it is hurting them because it makes the string and face pressure will do like this.
Yep.
And it really shows up on bows that have high let off, like 80, 85, 90%. It's actually exaggerated when you have higher let off.
Now I'm curious, are you a limb stop guy, or do you prefer cable stops?
I like well, the limb stops feel the best, but it's been my experience that the cable stops are a better route. The limb stops feel the best as far as push pull, and if you're shooting good back tension because you have a really firm place to hang your hat. But I've seen that limb stops affect the wrap of the cam and the amount of pressure that you put on them, because you're putting undue pressure on the cables in a wrong spot rather than equaling the system out. Whereas if it's on a cable stop, everything equals out. You load that up. Of course, you don't want to try to rip the cams off of the bow, but you hit that stop, the cable stops, and then you're just kind of lean into it. Almost like the way I describe it is, imagine you and I was doing a tug of war. You're pulling, I'm pulling. Somebody walks up, they just see us standing there. But if you was to cut the rope, we'd both go tumbling backwards. So the tension is there. The tension's there working this way, but there's no movement. So that's what I just a place to hang your hat. You hit the cable, the cable stops, pull into them a little bit and keep that tension going that way, but don't try to rip the cams off the bow. I think people that have limb stops tend to pull into it a little harder than what they should. It's been my experience, but it does feel the best, in my opinion.
That's definitely me.
Yeah.
I got limb stops, and when I hit that point, I get into, because I do shoot a hook release. I don't shoot a thumb release, and I lay my finger on the trigger, and I kind of pull my hand instead of, bending my finger. I kind of pull my finger across the release, so I do bury them limb stops pretty far.
Right.
I probably am doing no justice to the bow by doing that.
Yeah, it can. I've seen a lot of high and low errors on that, and especially if the bow's out of time, because you can't. It's hard to check the timing on it with those limb stops on there.
Yep.
It's hard to check what the timing's doing. On some bows it is, and that's why you've seen Bowtech used to have them on there, and a lot of the companies have kind of got away from the limb stops just because of that.
Yeah, that's what's nice about the gearhead. You can shoot it either way. It comes with limb stops. You can take them off, or you can use a cable. I think you got yours on the cable stops, right?
Yeah, I'd use cable just because for me with limb stops, I find that I'm pushing and pulling, and it just gets me shaking. Whereas with the cables, I'm fine. I can pull through my shot. I feel my shot breaks fine, but you give me limb stops, and all of a sudden that bow starts shaking as I'm trying to pull through.
Yeah, and you're, if you was to able to take a pulling scale that measures your holding weight, when you got that positive, when you're on the cable stops, there's a little give there. So you're like, if this is the draw force curve, like this is 70 pounds, and then you get down into the holding weight, which is in the valley, and we'll say you're holding 16, 17, 18 pounds, and then you hit you start to go back up when you hit the cable stops. When you hit the cable spot, it gives a little bit, so it ramps up slower. And to your point, whenever you hit those limb stops, it ain't got nowhere to go but just through the roof. I mean, just like a rocket ship. Your holding weight goes from, man, I'm at 16 if I'm just off of that limb stop, and then as soon as I hit the limb stop, bam, I'm holding a lot. And that's where the fatigue and the finesse, you're not really if you're trying to pull into it, you're really pulling the weight through the roof.
Yeah.
Puts a lot of leverage on that cam.
Yeah, I guess when I get my bow back, I'm going to have to take him off and try shooting for a while like that.
Oh, I'm not saying it. I mean, it's to each his own. It's
I'm
all
going to try it
down to what you got to be confident in. I mean, for me, like being a back tension shooter, I love the way it feels. I absolutely love it. It's like, man, I know where I'm at. I don't have nothing to bounce on or sponge or anything like that. But whenever I try to execute the shot, I guess I'm feeling the same things you are. Meaning, the poundage goes up. I start to get a little shake to it. Fatigue sets in. Plus, I've noticed how, like, when you start pulling into it, you'll notice that the cams will start to lean more.
Yeah.
Because there's nowhere for that pressure to go. It's got to go left or right.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, there's no right or wrong way. You shoot just fine with your limb stops. I prefer the cables just because it gives me that little bit of sponge, which for me helps me execute what for me is a better shot.
Yep.
That's the great thing about archery. There is no right or wrong. It's what you can do.
Yeah.
The most repeatable, the most amount of times.
Yeah, hey, you're right. That's I try to tell people they say, well, why do you have to tune a bow, or why do you keep tuning? I'm like, you can always make a better mousetrap. We've proven it with shooting machines. You can take a bow that is not tuned, center shots out, cams are untimed, an arrow that's too weak, put it in a bow in a shooting machine, because the shooting machine is doing the exact thing, same thing every time. And it'll go down through there like whoop, 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 but it'll hit the same hole every time.
Yep.
You can set it up at 30 yards because it's doing the same thing. The only reason we tune and try to build a bow for comfort-wise is so that we can be as close to a machine as possible, to where we can be duplicatable. And that's why we're trying to build forgiveness and tuning into the bow.
Now, do you shoot a whisker biscuit, or you shoot a drop away?
I shoot a drop away.
Do you?
I put a whisker biscuit on that old bow just because I thought it would, help add to the whole simplicity of that old bow. But no, I shoot a drop away. I shoot the AAE Prophecy.
Okay.
Drop away, cable driven drop away.
Yeah, that's what I shoot a QAD
Mm-hmm.
with the cable driven. And
right.
I just switched over them arrows. I'm shooting, or they got AAE vanes on them, and I'll tell you what, I'm pretty impressed because I normally shot the little short blazer vanes.
Yeah.
But I got those AAE Stealth, the Max Stealth vanes on there.
Yep.
And I'm kind of really digging this little longer vane. It seems like it helps stabilize that arrow a lot more.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of a 3-inch vane, something that's longer surface area, so that you get more wrap on the degree of helical and or the offset. So it's longer, it has more surface area, but it's not real tall, so you don't get a lot of flap in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a fan of the longer. I like a 3-inch. They got a new vane out, which the AAE has always been one that is easy to fletch, but it's called a Razor, RAZR, and it has the same easy capabilities of fletching as the hybrid, but it's extremely stiff, so you get no flap in it whatsoever. So he just came out with that back in January. That's a good one. I like it as good or better than the Stealth that he's got now.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, seeing that we've got a big influencer on here,
Maybe
we can get Travis to start this and get all these bow companies to put the same lettering or numbering on their cams so that we don't need 20 different books to figure out what draw length is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like decoding. Man, I'm telling you what, they don't make it easy, do they?
No.
Why is that so hard that we just can't get, either A through E means this or 1 through 10 means this across the board?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I would love to, simplify within the archery. I mean, they did real good back in the day, like the distance between the sight holes are all the same. It's called basically a AMO, which is Archery Manufacturers Organization. That way all sights are built with the same holes where they fit on there, and the threads that are used are a 1032. It's a 5/16 by 24 for your rest your rest bolt. There's a lot of standardized things on there, but that brings up a good point. I would like to go on a little crusade, so to speak, and get the IBO speed removed on how they test bows, because I think it's put yourself as a consumer and also put yourself as a shop owner. So you own a shop and your consumer comes walking in. He's been researching online and he says, "Oh, I'm going to get this bow." We'll say it's a Hoyt, and it says it shoots 345 feet per second. Okay, so that's the bow I want. I've done my research. Let me go down to my local shop. You go down to your local shop and you get your bow set up. You're a 28.5-inch draw. You get set up with a good hunting setup. It's 475 grain arrow. You're shooting 70 pounds or 65 pounds. And then you go back there and you get your string all rigged out and you're ready to go. You've got $2,600 in this whole setup. Hey, buddy, you mind if I shoot it through your meter just to see how fast I am? So I've already been studying for 6 months, and I'm expecting this thing to pop through there at about 340 feet a second. You draw back and you shoot it through there, and it reads 268, 275. And I've just been sweet talking my wife for 6 months to buy this bow for $2,600, and we're not going on vacation this year, so I can have this bow. And this bow is not even within 55, 60 feet a second of what they advertise. That is a gut punch. That is felt like you got stabbed in the back. So now you've turned the dealer, rather than the manufacturer has done a great job of getting the guy into the shop, but now you've got the dealer who is having to console the guy, and he's got to go on defensive and explain to him why his $2,600 purchase is not doing anything nowhere near what the manufacturer says. So it makes him look like he's not a good dealer, makes him look like he don't know how to set up a bow. So nobody really hunts with that setup. The way they achieve them speeds are a naked bow, 30-inch draw, which that's a long draw length. Nobody's really shooting 30-inch unless you're 6'4" or taller. A 70 pounds, which a lot of people are only shooting 60, 65 now, and a 350 grain arrow.
Yeah.
Very few people are shooting under a 400 grain arrow.
Yep.
So I would love for the standard of measurement of everything that is out there to be more of a standardized average bow hunting setup, and make sure that everybody across the board adhered to that, so that we wouldn't be having these conversations and negativity and letdown, to where you could say 28.5-inch draw at 65 pounds with a 500 grain arrow. Here's your speed. And then everybody measure that. That's more of your meat and potatoes type of guy. And then that way, and here it is with, let's say 20 grains of weight on the string. This is what you can, it'll be in the 260 to 280 feet per second range. And then that's a little more reasonable. These numbers that they're pumping up, that's like going to buy a Corvette, and the guy telling you that it'll do a top end of 240 mile an hour, but you're never going to get to test that. You can't test that. You just got to take his word on it.
Yep.
So, the guy goes home and he's gut punched the whole hunting season. He's done spent $2,600 shooting a bow that's not even nowhere near what the manufacturer said it would. So it's smoke and mirrors.
Yep. But I always tell everybody when they come in the shop, and I tell them right off the bat, I said, you're looking at that IBO speed. I said, we can dry fire that bow and get that IBO speed.
Yep.
I said, I'll put the lightest arrow we have in this shop. We'll do that. We'll blow this bow up, and you're going to get what you want out of it. I said, other than that, we're going to set it up to hunt with. We're not breaking 300.
Yeah, but you shouldn't even have to have that conversation.
I know.
We shouldn't have to defend that number.
I know.
Yeah, and that needs to be brought up to the manufacturers or the people that are at the ATA and stuff like that. I mean, you're doing a good job of that, but the dealer shouldn't have to do that. The consumer shouldn't have to read that.
Yep.
Period. Well, problem I have, and I'm a competitive archer, from the word go. I shot tournaments for years. The IBO, which is formed out of Ohio, northern Ohio, in Nelsonville. I mean, not Nelsonville, but Vermilion, Ohio, which is right there near Cleveland, just outside of Cleveland. Well, they're IBO legal, which is International Bow Hunting Organization. That's what IBO stands for. You know that.
Yep.
They're saying that their tournaments are measured at 5 grains per pound. And that's okay for tournaments. That's okay. But an international bow hunting organization that is preaching for the betterment of bow hunting don't need to be claiming these speeds like this. That's too light. It's just too light. I mean, the bows will handle it, of course, but that's not real world hunting. That's not real world expectations.
Yep.
So there's just major letdowns. I wish that would get addressed big time. I
couldn't agree more with that statement because, so
I'm drawing up a petition tomorrow.
We will be the first ones to sign it because, like you said, it's not fair to the consumer. Now, there are some that realize it, but a majority don't. The same as when, you go buy a half-ton pickup that claims it can, tow 12,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you got to do 26 different things, which aren't any of the popular models, to get to that 12,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good analogy. Good comparison too. Yeah.
It's not fair to the consumer to think that they're going to come in and, like you said, spend a lot of money on a bow, and they're wanting that speed, and it's not going to happen.
Yep. Yeah.
And then they're disappointed. The dealers got to deal with it now, and they look bad. Yeah. For what? Let's come up with a standard test, like you said.
Yep.
Put a range out there. If you want to keep it at 70 pounds, fine. Keep it at 70 pounds. Lower the draw length a little bit because we probably see 28 to 29 is the most common down at the shop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lower it down to that and put it, at 450, 500 grain arrow.
Yeah, or what's wrong with going the other route? Let's say 500 grain arrow, 28.5-inch draw, 65 pounds. And then when the guy does shoot through there and tell him he's going to shoot 275. And then when he does shoot through there at 283, then you've got a bonus.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I didn't expect this thing to shoot but 270. And here I'm getting, 13 feet a second faster.
Yep.
So, but that's not going to happen. The manufacturer is going to get him in the door. And then the dealer and the consumer's the one with egg on their face.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, man. That hour went by quick, buddy.
I'm telling you, we can talk the horns off a billy goat, fellas.
It's always a good time when you come on here, man. We appreciate your time. You want to let everybody know where they can find T-Bone at?
Yeah, of course, still a bone collector. We got a lot of stuff going on with Realtree, Realtree.com. We've got a lot of tips and stuff. And like you had seen the YouTube clip just the other day, we got a lot of stuff going on there. And then, of course, on my social media pages, T-Bone Outdoors on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. So, I'll be posting stuff. We kind of cover technical archery and kind of have some funny stuff and day-to-day life funny stuff and some giveaways. We kind of try to meet all the needs. So, yeah, we appreciate everybody still following along and, catch our show on Outdoor Channel, Bone Collector. We've been running since 2008. So,
yeah.
Yep. We're getting these gray hairs, honestly.
So we're going to just hang out with us for a minute here while we run through our sponsors here real quick, and then we'll chat after we get done.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Creek Archery. Find your passion and hunt it down.
Hillview Motors, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Check them out, the inventory at hillviewmotors.com, and remember, Hillview has it.
Duke Traps.
That apparition scent, 100% lethal. Make sure you get your mock scrapes out there and get your certified doe estrus before the season gets started.
And don't forget to use our code Keystone, all capital letters. That'll get you some money off of your order. It's time to get those mock scrapes made, so get on it.
We got Chico Outdoors. Chico Outdoors is a nonprofit organization hosting the annual Outdoor Expo in April of every year, giving back to the community, getting kids and veterans back out into the woods. Check everything out they have on Facebook and Instagram at Chico Outdoors.
Hey, we got Bow Creek Outdoors. That's the cell cameras we use. All our cameras. I just got 2 new cameras in the mail today from Mr. Matt. TKE20 is a discount code. Give Matt a holler. Pennsylvania-owned veteran company. Give him a call. Tell him the Keystone Experience thing.
Z&M Harley Davidson, new used certified pre-owned parts department service center. They'll get you the bike you're looking for, fix the one up you currently have, or just accessorize it. Check out the new website at znmharleydavidson.com.
Back 40 Seed Company. Hey, it's time to get them fall food plots here at the end of August. Get them in the ground. Get them started. Get yourself some Uncle Al's fall forage or some buck fuel. Keystone 10 discount code. Give Roy and Bill a holler. They'll hook you up. Pennsylvania-owned company.
Weeby Knives. You know what they say about Weeby Knives, Rob? They're wicked sharp.
They are not from Boston.
Well, regardless, it is a replaceable blade that will always be sharp when you're ready for it, along with all the other products that they have for the skinning shed. Check them out at weebyknives.com.
Trapline Beard Oil Company. Give Brian a holler. New bottles out, 1 ounce bottles. Got your beard balm coming out with soap, body wash, shampoo. Give Brian a holler. Order yourself some of this stuff up. Stay bearded.
We have Kelton Black representing American National. Make sure you give Kelton Black Agency a call for your commercial, auto, homeowners, farm, and life insurance needs. And do business with someone who cares.
Forget Genetics, another Pennsylvania veteran-owned company. Some of the minerals that we use from this company are unbelievable. There's not a whole bunch of salt. There's not a whole bunch of crap in this, not a bunch of fillers. This stuff, read the back of the container. It does good for your fawns. Better milk from the does. Helps them antlers grow. From crawl to wall, they got your 6.
GearheadArchery.com. Head over there to the website. Check out all the bows that Skip and them have available for you. From a tiny little short 24-inch carbon model to full-size target bow. We're shooting the Pivot P30 this year. Make sure you stick around to see what we do with those. But give Gearhead a call if they're rethinking tradition.
The Outdoor Call Radio app. 24/7, 365 days a year. Nothing but outdoor content. Cooking, hunting, fishing, trapping. You even got some Bigfoot hunting on there, and Dan Young, the guy that runs the show, is out there looking for ghosts somewhere along the line on this thing. So download the app. Tons of giveaways. Check it out. The Outdoor Call Radio app.
Well, buddy, trapping season will be here before you know it.
Yes, sir.
Along with the products we've been using, who else are we going to take to the woods with us this year?
We're going to take Wilson's Wildlife Solutions with us this year, an Erie-based company here in PA. Great people, great baits. I've been playing around with some over the property. I got some cameras on this stuff right now, just digging test holes and dumping some of this bait in there. And what I'm seeing, I can't wait to get a piece of iron in front of these holes because we're going to be having a lot of fur in the fur shed. So remember, Wilson's Wildlife Solutions. Give them a holler.
And follow along with us on Facebook, Instagram. I believe we've not been kicked off of TikTok yet.
Nope.
So we got that going still. The YouTube channel. Head over to the KeystoneExperience.com for all the episodes there. Looking for some merch, head to unityprinting.com/TKE.
And don't forget to check us out on Carbon TV. Please, when you go over there, give us a rating. We'd appreciate it. And one last thing, check out Big Shot Targets. They gave us a discount code just for our listeners. It is the Keystone Experience. If it gets you something off of some of those targets, we use them, we beat them up. So get yourself a big shot.
Well, buddy, that's going to wrap this episode up here. So why don't you take us out of here?
Hey, shoot straight, keep the dirty side down.